Poised on the edge of Southern California is Long Beach, a setting prized on its ability to get tourists connected with the coast. The aquatic capital of America meets the new men in town set up on Shoreline Drive tonight to make waves of their own in the midst of a waning regular season. The Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Mach 10 Digital makes a stop at the Long Beach circuit, where tonight we bring you live coverage of the 7th race in Season 7 and the Mach 10 Digital Challenge. Glad to have you with us on Podium Esports. We're alongside Scott Shive in the booth. My name is Kenneth Leno. Eddie Smith is our producer this evening. He's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, Scott, over Season 7, one of the biggest words over the season has been new. We've seen countless new opportunities, new obstacles, and new drivers getting to victory lane. But for the first time ever in MNR history, we get to tackle something we've never seen before, street racing.
That's right. We've never been here before, and we've never been in these cars. So all week, we have heard that these drivers have been getting prepared because they've never done this before, at least in MNR. So this is absolutely new for us. Last week we were on the East Coast. Now we've transitioned to the West Coast of California, and we're going to see what Long Beach has to bring us today.
We've never raced Long Beach in this series ever. We've never run the GT4 Porsches either. So tonight is going to be a very new challenge for those on the track this evening. But as we get towards the end of the regular season, Scott, preparation, that word that stuck out to me immediately. These drivers are preparing for a playoff run in the horizon. We'll take a look at the point standings, how things fare after last week's eventful race at Bristol Motor Speedway. And Scott, one thing that we've taken out from that one is Adam Cabot back in the points lead after the big win.
That's right. He got a great win a few weeks ago, long win, and then James Bickford had 2 in a row, and Adam Cabot took it home last week at Bristol to get back on top. He's only ahead by 12 points and closely behind in our 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th position. Those points are pretty close, so we've got a tight battle here for those top 16 spots, and you want to be in those top 16 spots for sure. So they will be battling here today in our next couple races before the playoffs.
You also have to think about the top 16 playoff format, where it's going to be a bracket challenge. You're going to have 1 seed versus 16 seed, and from there on you have different seeds placed against each other. That's the cut line going into tonight's race, and it is basically margin of 0. Ford Martin and Alex Monteferrante right on with each other. It's 4 points back to Josh Slate, Joey Padgett, Robbie Lyons back for the top 20. They still have a chance. And while we get to the end of this regular season and start talking a little more about playoffs, Scott, we have to talk about the schedule. Tonight is a huge curveball thrown into the strike zone, and then we have Pro 4 trucks at Wild West. If it couldn't get any more chaotic, Gen 4s at Atlanta seems to be the most normal combo in these last 3 events. How important as a driver do you need to prioritize these 3 races and go at it if you want a playoff spot?
Absolutely. We're down to the wire here. We've got 3 races to go, including today, and there are a lot of points on the table, but we only have, we have 3 to go. We've had 6 races already, and a lot of points have been accrued. So these drivers are really thinking, I have to perform at these next 3 tracks or it's over for me. So we've got a wild week next week with the Pro 4 trucks at Wild West, and then the drivers will love to have the Gen 4s at Atlanta, something more in their normal realm. But every one of these 3 races is absolutely crucial for gaining as many points as you can to make those playoffs.
But you're going to have to survive through these 3 races, because I'm going to say GT4 Porsches at Long Beach tonight, Pro 4 trucks at Wild West. Certainly not the easiest combos to overcome. Gen 4 at Atlanta's could be a little more manageable, but for the 2 that we have tonight and next week on November 27th, it is not going to be easy. So for Wild West is a different type of road course, a dirt road course, in fact. That's going to be a lot of fun next week. But Long Beach is the stage tonight, is the challenge for those looking at a race win for the first time or an entry into the Monday Night Racing playoffs. And while we talk about Long Beach, we'll get into that in just a little bit. But Scott, we look at a car that also has never been run in Monday Night Racing history, the Porsche GT4 718 Cayman. Now, this is similar in the Porsche family to the 911 RSR that these drivers in MNR have been used to seeing over the last couple of seasons, but this GT4 car has a little less power. That does not mean that it will not provide an obstacle, nor a big challenge for those who are behind the wheel. First time we ever see it.
This car is fast, Kenneth. It's got a 425 brake power, naturally aspirated 3.8 liter V6 flat. It's a drivetrain 6-speed, dual clutch, mid-engined, rear-wheel drive. It's almost just under 3,000 pounds, but this car is fast. It doesn't, you said it doesn't have a lot of horsepower, but this thing has good aero, it is fast. Most notably, this car is raced in the 24 Hours of Le Mans in the GT class, so as we know, that's one of the most prestigious races, and this car is fast.
These cars are pretty agile as well, don't get me wrong. They do have other GT4 cars in the mix, but these GT4s, you can hustle them around a circuit, let alone Long Beach, which much like the GT4, Scott, is the first time we will ever see it over in Long Beach, California. We go to Southern California, as a matter of fact, and we've got a lot of great corners on this circuit. It is legendary. It's been around for a very long time, whether it's hosting open wheel racing, whether it's IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship racing, Scott. There's a lot that has been run here. GT4s with Long Beach, though, here in Monday Night Racing, never seen before, but this track, really tough.
Absolutely. Built in 1975, this is an 11-turn road course, street course. You know, we talk about circuits all the time. You think about Formula One, other things like that. A lot of them race on circuit tracks, and those are tracks built for racing, but this is a road course, street course. It's on the streets of California. This is where people drive every day. So you've got uneven roads, dips, bumps, you've got a fountain in there, street lights, everything. This track is slick, it's bumpy, it's fun. I love this track so much. I'm so excited that we are here to mix it up.
You've got beautiful scenery all around, whether it's the coast, whether it's that beautiful fountain with the dolphins that you're looking at right now near the aquarium, whether you're looking at the palm trees all across the racing track and all of the shops that surround this Long Beach circuit. You've got it all, but there is no margin for error. You find yourself in a mistake, you're going to end up in a tire barrier or worse, the outside retaining wall. Unlike Watkins Glen earlier in the season where you could get off track and be able to pick yourself back up, whether it's through the grass or just through the asphalt paving runoff. Here tonight at Long Beach, you do not have that luxury. You make a mistake, you are potentially out of this race. Let's get into the race analysis for tonight's Mach 10 Digital Challenge, see what we got off tap. And it's one of the more easier race analysis to digest, Scott. We only have 1 hour on tap, no cautions midway, no cautions unless Race Control deems it so with a very big track blocking pileup, but if not, we only have 1 hour on tap, green to checkered, and that is it with 100% max fuel.
The only time I think we could see any cautions in this race is in the beginning when they're filing down into turn one. Besides that, these drivers will file out and they'll be racing right along, trying to get to the next car in front of them and defend from the guy behind. So this is going to be a great race, an hour long. We're just going to see how it goes.
It's just a straight up shot from the beginning on the standing start to the checkered flag at the end where Barney is on the flag stand. So you do not have a yellow to save you if you have a mistake. And that was a proponent that we really talked about over the last road course races, is the caution midway through, how that affects the mindset of drivers, how that really alters strategy for some, and how that could make a change near the end of the race. But tonight we don't have that. So it's going to be straight 60 minutes on the clock, counting down to zero. When we get there, we'll roll the checkered flag, and that's where we will have a winner. Last week, we saw Adam Cabot take away his second win of the Monday Night Racing season. Will we see a driver get another win this time around, or will we see a brand new driver take hold of the checkered flag and enter victory lane? And as we get a little closer to this race, about a minute and 50 seconds away from the beginning as we got warm-ups still going on, what have you noticed over the practice and qualifying sessions that maybe could stand out when we get to race time?
You know, I've seen a lot of things as I was watching along in qualifying. Most notably, I saw a lot of heavy braking into turn one. I saw a few guys slam into the wall at turn one. So we'll be looking for right on the start as these guys go double file from a standing start down into turn one. I'll be looking for somebody to overshoot that. It's an easy corner to overshoot. I'll also be looking for the fountain turn of 2 and 3. That is a tiny, narrow corner to get through, and on the first lap, they're going to be going through there, most likely double file. They'll try to get singled out through turn one, but I expect to see some side-by-side action and some people hitting the wall. Like you said, the walls are close at this place. You go into turn 2 and that area, turn 4, where some of this area wides out in turn 5 and 6, but you make a mistake and you're in the wall. That is the track limit here, and the wall can end your day. So you don't want that, obviously. So that's what I've been looking at for sure. You want to fear that wall, and you want to hug it as close as you can, but you definitely don't want to hit it.
You're flirting with danger. That's the way to say it. And when you have no fast repairs, as we looked at with the race analysis, you're looking at potential danger situation if you've got drivers making mistakes hitting that wall. Last thing you want to do is accrue damage on your GT4 Porsche Cayman. Let's head trackside as warm-up closes in. We had our qualifying results from just a couple of minutes ago. We'll take you trackside before we get the green flag for tonight's Mach 10 Digital Challenge. On the pole will be the Speed Factor 04 machine of Corey Deucer with a 123.980. First pole of the season for Deucer. Mario Miranda, the Tulsa, Oklahoma native, will join him on the exit of row number 1. Jordan Black, one of the road ringers, looks like he's coming in for his first Monday Night Racing start. The Florida native starts inside row number 2, and Cole Cabry in the 51 for Speed Factor. He starts in position number 4. Nick Olson for Grit Esports rolls off inside the top 5 alongside Michael Fisher in the number 32. We've got a lot of Speed Factor cars up here to start. P7 goes to Ryan Vargas, the California native, in his home race with Chase Cabry on his outside in the 39 machine. Performed well the last time we ran Porsches at a road course. Chase Cabry will be followed by Presley Sora behind him in 9th, and Alex Monteferrantes got shy, brings us to top 10.
And starting P11, we'll have the 30 of Christopher Tate. P12 will be the 83 of Joey Padgett. In P13, we'll have Brandon Houff. And P14, Will Rogers. In P15, we'll have Raja Karuth. And in P16, our past winner, Adam Cabot. In P17, the 96 of Colin Fern. And P18, James Bickford, who I seem to see who is going to be at the front today. He is a great road course ringer, won at Watkins Glen. I look for him today. P19, the 10 of DJ Cummings, and rounding out the top 20, the 5 of Bailey Turner.
We'll get everybody through the rest of your top 20. Green flag in the Mach 10 Digital Challenge from Long Beach. They chase for turn 1 near the end of Shoreline Drive, and a big early jump by Mario Miranda. He has the clearance over Corey Deucer entering the corner. He floats low, now up high. Position battle for P2. Jordan Black on a dive in the inside. Almost 3 wide entering turn 1 as they all check up for the curve, and now turns 2 and 3 to the Aquarium Way in South Chestnut Place. At the Aquarium corner, everybody stacking up, but somehow still able to maintain now through turns 4 and 5. Back to West Shoreline Drive. Mario Miranda with at least a 0.7 of a second advantage over Corey Deucer. Jordan Black looking for a piece of the draft as he enters 3rd. Now to turn 6, 7, and 8. One of the most confusing part of this circuit as it looks like smoke near the back, and trouble for Alex Monteferrante. Him and Presley Sora go around at the exit at turn 5. Now we head to turn 8 at East Seaside Way to turns 9, 10, 11, and to the hairpin for the very first lap, but it's Mario Miranda in control.
Absolutely. We'll see Miranda run down to turn 9 there as he rolls through onto turn 10. This is a tricky corner here. You're barely on the throttle, just feathering it, and then into turn 11, a heavy braking zone. You're turning all the way around 180, running to the back straight all the way down to turn 1.
You saw Jordan Black tap the outside wall. Looks like further behind, and there's a crash. One car around, and it is, I believe, one of the Interstate Batteries machines. That is Nick Olson in the 24. It appears to be, hits the inside wall, and everybody's trying to get by.
Nick
That
Olson,
abandoned car. Brandon Houff has just entered pit road, and it's a chaotic end to lap 1. Nick Olson stranded at the exit of turn 11.
he's going to go all the way to the back. That's the kind of mistakes you can't see here today. The kind of things you can't do. Nick Olson now is going to have to charge all the way from the back, and we'll see what he can do. But that's the exact kind of mistake that you don't want to make today.
Looks like he got hit, though, by Michael Fisher in the 32 machine exiting the final corner. So as they all stacked up, almost like a parking lot, if you will, he got into the rear end of that Interstate Batteries number 24. Olson went for a spin, and it appears that was it. Brandon Houff in the number 9 machine has entered pit road. Looks like he is now starting to get out. It appears it was a 31.2 trip down the lane, 0.7 trip down the lane rather, has dropped to 29th. It appears to avoid the oncoming incident. Crash behind for 27th. Looks like Raja Karuth goes for a tumble. It looks like he's around, but we will continue on. Mario Miranda will hold on to the lead. Corey Deucer right on his heels, and Jordan Black in a fight with Cole Cabry for 3rd.
A fight for the lead here. Corey Deucer. Oh, Mario Miranda gets loose, but holds the lead. Corey Deucer got him sideways out of turn 11. That was very close. Mario Miranda almost went around, but Corey Deucer backed off because he hit him, and Mario Miranda retains the lead as we see Cole Cabry back there in fourth with his brother Chase Cabry right behind him as we've got a 5-car breakaway here from the rest of the field.
Hard braking zone to turn 1. You're looking on board with the last car in this 4-car train. Cole Cabry in the number 53, holding on to position right behind the number 14 of Jordan Black, making his first ever Monday night racing event. But he is getting caught by that number 51, but the top 4 have put themselves in their own category. And first 4 minutes down in this race here at Long Beach Circuit. So far, your leaders, Miranda, Deucer, Black, and Cole Cabry. For Miranda here, Scott, we looked at his performance last week at Bristol Motor Speedway, and boy, that was a chaotic race. Ended in Miranda with a 27th place running, 128 laps down. Safe to say it was not the best outing for the Tulsa, Oklahoma native, but he's been fast in practice. He was fast in qualifying. He took the lead on lap 1. He is not looking back early.
Absolutely. We saw him last week. I believe he disconnected. Am I right?
I believe, yes. It might have been some internet issues
I believe
caused
so.
him to exit the race.
Sadly, but luckily in the points, he only dropped by 1 position, so he's holding steady about where he is. But we've got an hour to go, but right now he holds the lead and has to keep it from Corey Deucer. But Mario Miranda, he is strong. We have seen him in the past few races. He has always been right near the front. He's always in the conversation. So Mario Miranda is someone who I see is going to do well. I hope to see him make the playoffs unless he has some tremendous downfall. I believe he'll be in it. But I see him to go pretty far for the fight for the championship here as he leads our field into turn 5.
To do it in your rookie season, definitely impressive, as there's a nice battle for position behind the main group. This is James Bickford working on the inside of Bailey Turner. That's for 14th, and they had Patrick Gallagher, who's making his first start tonight in the 27. He dropped back to 20th with a little mistake out of turn 11, but it has coupled these drivers together. Put Connor Berry now into the equation, he's going to definitely like the combo next week, but he's looking to survive at least one more. The Menifee, California native surviving at this stage of the race. So look on board with Berry, and here's a look at all the challenges you get presented to you at Long Beach, Scott, especially here, this uphill crest out of this corner specifically. That is turn 6 and 7, now through 8, and then on that long straightaway on East Seaside Way to turn 9. You talked about the intricacies of trying to get around that corner. What's the worst part of getting through that, making sure you get out of it in clean shape?
You know, that corner is tricky. You get on the wall of the braking zone going into 7, and you see that tire barrier when we come back around to it. That tire barrier is dangerous. It sticks out from the wall, and if you clip it just by a hair, you're turning left right into the wall. Wheel damage, your day will probably be done. Every corner has something interesting here, as we see we're watching on with Connor Berry and them running down to turn 1, but every corner has something here that has its intricacies here, like we talked about. So they're all interesting. They all have something, and as a driver, you've got to know what every corner has so you can attack it the fastest way possible and gain on your opponent in front of you.
And you're looking at different levels of entry when it comes down to specifically turn 1. You look at also turn 4. Car around, that's Ford Martin near the back. He's dropped through the top 20. And it looks like that was a solo incident for Martin. Car stepped out before the entrance of the corner. That was specifically turn 4. We'll look at it again, Scott. And here was the teal and white Mach 10 digital machine, already with a bit of damage, but that car just unraveled before he even hopped the curb.
Dude, those curbs are dangerous. There's a few of them around this circuit. Some of them have those ridging turtles that we like to call them, like you'll see out of turn 5. But you'll see turn 4 right there. It has the ramped curb, as we like to call it, and he just hopped it a little too much. It lifted up his right rear and got him loose, and around he went. Luckily, he was able to get going pretty fast there, had a brake right behind him, so he didn't lose too many positions, but still lost some, but not as bad as we saw Nick Olson earlier, which Nick Olson is now right in front of Ford Martin. So he just hopped the curb there.
Here's a battle further back. This is Josh Slate, Gary Sexton going at it for about 12th and 13th on the racetrack. Sexton started tonight in P22, Slate back in 23rd. So both of these guys have been a little bit on a journey after the green flag dropped about 8 or so minutes ago, and a beautiful 0G orange and blue style for Gary Sexton this evening as we ride on board with Slate. One of those drivers, by the way, Scott, that is pushing for a playoff run. He is 4 points out of the 16th and final spot for the championship run all the way to the end. Before Martin holds on to it, as here comes the battle for the lead. Corey Deucer stepping to the outside in turns 9, 10, and to 11 door-to-door.
He'll go right around Mario Miranda and will assume the lead going down for turn 1 as those 4 cars, they have just been connected this whole race as Corey Deucer takes the lead. You know, these are guys we talked about. We talked about Cole Cabry. We talked about Corey Deucer. Obviously, Mario Miranda. Someone I didn't think about seeing was Jordan Black. Seeing him run up here, he is doing absolutely amazing. Seeing him, as we'll see a charge probably from Mario Miranda. Late braking a little bit, but Corey Deucer will still hold the lead into turn 1 as we have a wonderful battle up here as they go through the fountain turn of 3 and 4.
Deucer not only looking for his first Monday Night Racing win, he's also looking for his best finish of the season since the first one of the season. As car around, it's Cole Cabry right in the middle of this top 4, and that's a heartbreaker there for the 51. He escapes with minimal to no damage on his speed factor Porsche. How about that? Taking it in reverse.
He's going
backwards. Just gonna let it go.
Hey, look, that's not a bad call. I mean, you can't, these corners are so tight like we talked about. He said, you know what, I'm just going to throw it in reverse, not lose too many positions. He only fell to 11th there, just in front of Gary Sexton and behind Adam Cabot. But as we saw, he hit that curb on the inside of 3 and 4 just like Ford Martin did, fell to the same thing. But that was almost genius, saying, you know what, I'm going to go backwards here, try to lose less position. That was something for sure.
He got lucky, though, that there was a big gap separating the cars that just had gone past him and then everybody else, because he backed it into the racing line directly at the exit of turn 4, right to turn 5. So the 51 escapes. Luckily, he only falls to about, I'd say, you look all the way back to the top 10. This is 11th, so right behind Adam Cabot. And the 51 is going to be able to survive, although he does have a pretty hefty gap, 3.5 seconds back to Adam Cabot in the number 17. So it breaks down what was 4 cars at the front to 3. Corey Deucer holds on to the lead, Mario Miranda behind him, and Jordan Black in the 14. Now, of course, Scott, we talked about Gallagher and Black making their first Monday Night Racing races here tonight, their debuts in season number 7. Well, Black, I believe, was part of the Summer Series entry list before. I don't believe we saw him in any event in that season, but he is a Central Floridian and a driver in the Pro Legend division, or former Pro Legend division in North Carolina. So Black does know a thing or two about oval racing, but surprisingly enough, on the iRacing service, he's definitely got the road course skills panned out as he rolls into 3rd.
We'll look at people, you know, we know what they're good at. We look at, you know, we talk about James Bickford, other people, Corey Deucer, Mario Miranda, about their road racing, but then, you know, sometimes we'll have someone that comes out of nowhere and says, hey, I'm good at this too. So sometimes we'll have that with Jordan Black here. Love seeing him up in the top 3, and we're just going to see what he has for us today. You know, again, like you said, this is his first race of this season, and we're going to see what he can do, but obviously doing well out here as we'll just go through the field.
Been running pretty nicely right now as we'll look at a battle further back. This is near the back end of the top 10. Adam Cabot in the 17, rolling behind Colin Fern. Now, Cabot was able to pick up his 2nd win like we talked about earlier in the show. Fun fact about Cabot's route to the win at Bristol, that's the only time in his Monday Night Racing career where he has won more than 1 race. In every single season that Cabot has run, he's only won 1 through the calendar year. This time he's got 2, and a nice pass on the inside for turn 1. Hard braking zone under the 96 machine, and Cabot has the position to the fountain corner, which I'd say, Scott, is the most dangerous part of the circuit, because you're looking at a very narrow piece of track lining with outside walls and tire barriers. Then you've got, of course, the curb of the fountain, the grass itself, and you can really make a lot of mistakes there, specifically going too wide. It seems to be a big trouble spot for everyone at Long Beach, although it really hasn't shown its ugly head tonight.
Couldn't agree with you more. We just saw Adam Cabot run through there as he made the pass on Colin Fern. He actually ran a little bit wide through 3, almost tapped that wall, but it's just such a tight gap that you have to run through. You're running out, taking a slight right turn out of 1 as you run through it, and then you're hitting a quick left and quick back right as you're on the brakes, and you go through the middle of 2 and 3, and you're immediately back on the gas, just getting a hair off the wall out of 3, trying to keep as much speed in the car as possible. So really, you're threading the needle at least once a time per lap if you're not passing anybody. But I agree with you. It is probably the most difficult part of this circuit for sure.
And we'll see 2 speed factor cars chase for that Aquarium Way corner in just a little bit. This is the entry to turn 1, Michael Fisher and Chase Cabry. How about this nice stack up between teammates for 4th place? Cabry so far has been running nicely inside the top 5. He gained 3 at the drop of the green flag, so started from 8th up to 5th, the Tampa, Florida native. And the driver who has won multiple times in this series, one of them in the Japanese circuit, Twin Ring Motegi, to get his first career one with the ARCA Menards Chevrolet Impalas. Nice run tonight for Cabry, nice run for Fisher, and this would be Fisher's best run this season. He does have 740 laps led in the Monday Night Racing season this year, but he has not been able to get a finish better than 7th. His best finish was that place at Bristol last week, despite all of the chaos. So Fisher running quite well tonight, despite some of the left front damage. Now, Scott, if we're looking at the entire field, we're playing a game of gaps here. We're looking at 1st, 2nd, and 3rd with Deucer Miranda and Jordan Black, rather. They're all together. Then Michael Fisher, Chase Cabry in a little duo. Then behind them, Joey Padgett, Rogers, and Ryan Vargas. And Cabot and Fern to close out the top 10. But it's starting to become somewhat of a gap race. How do you manage that if you're in the middle of the top 10 to try and find your way to the first bit of strategy we'll see tonight?
That's what I was just about to talk about. We've got 4 sets of tires that these drivers are allowed to use sitting in the pits. I don't know how many times we are going to pit. We're just going to see how long these tires last as we'll see fall off. But, you know, we're breaking into these groups, and strategy is your best way to come through that top 10. You're just going to have to, if you're in the back of that top 10, like we see Ryan Vargas, Adam Cabot, and Colin Fern right now, you're going to have to make some strategy plays to get ahead of these guys like Corey Deucer, Mario Miranda, and Jordan Black, who are just, you know, so far ahead of you, because this track is known for you're going to get spread out. Obviously you're going to get far away from each other. So the best way to catch up will be that strategy play. I imagine we'll see all 4 tires. You know, normally in an oval, we could see a 2-tire call rather than 4 in some occasion. But since this is a street course, although it is clockwise, where you'll put more abrasiveness on those left sides, you do turn left still quite a lot. So we'll probably see some 4-tire calls, but what we'll see different is we'll see the difference in when people will pit. So who will have stronger tires, who can save the most. So we're really looking at who's going to pit first and who can save their tires the best, and that's who's going to be up front.
You're going to also look at the way drivers play with fuel, how long they stay out, how much fuel they put in the car, because unlike the stock trucks, the NASCAR trucks we saw last week at Bristol, pit stops with these GT4 Porsches are just a little longer, and they are very different in functionality. So you're going to look at time differences versus the entrance of the pit lane and then to the actual pit box versus, let's say, the stock car racing that we've grown accustomed to seeing over the regular season, and we'll get a lot used to that over the playoffs. Look at this bump and run. Alex Monteferrante trying to get around Matt Stolnick. He gets a tap from Jordan Buster. They make door-to-door contact near the exit of 11. Still a trouble spot for the drivers out here. Buster to the inside this time at the start-finish line. He's got 19th.
They were side by side for just a moment there as Monteferrante will pull side. Let's see if he tries to outbrake him here into 1. He will. They're side by side again. He'll go right for it, and Monteferrante will take the position into 19th ahead of Jordan Buster as they run into 2 and 3. That was crazy. That was wild, but Monteferrante holds it.
And behind them, Mark Rabilis in the 99 is holding serve. Christopher Tate not too far either in 22nd, but he goes for an almost spin at the exit of turn 4. But a nice battle building up just behind the 41 of Matt Stolnick. We talked about gaps. Well, this is a big gap all the way to Connor Berry, about 3.5 or so seconds to the 17th place car. We're going to eye in on when these drivers ultimately come down pit road. Now, the gap for first and second, that has opened up quite a bit. It looks like Corey Deucer has been pulling away just a tad over Miranda by about 0.7 of a second. In that last lap, though, Miranda was almost 3/10 faster, but we're definitely seeing the gaps between first, second, and third start to grow considerably. As here's a look at Monteferrante once again, eyeing in on this pass for Matt Stolnick. He'll look at the entry of turn 11. He's going to dive it with all that he's got. 41 is going to get forced wide, and a bit of a lack of contact. Buster sent around by Rabilis. Oh, man.
Monteferrante survived it there as he squeezed, I don't know who that was, into the wall, but then there was a separate incident right behind them.
They all got stacked up, and it left Jordan Buster with nowhere to go but to get hit by the 99 of Rabilis. We'll take a look at it once more. Here comes the 97, diving in the inside. He was not giving that up without a fight. He runs the 41 wide, and as the 8 comes in for the arc, there's the 99.
99 just got him in the rear. You know, these cars we talk about, they're different than the stock cars we normally look at, like the Gen 4 late model stock, you know, other things we look at, but these cars they're still race cars. They're still driving on the edge, so you give them one tap and they're going to go around. So that's just very unfortunate there for that's just very unfortunate, and we'll hope that he can rebound of Jordan Buster, the 8 of Jordan Buster.
Now he is 2 laps down in 28th place. He has made his way to pit road. Here's a look at Gary Sexton in the middle of a battle for around 19th on the racetrack. Well, we mentioned Rabilis getting into Jordan Buster. Contact turn 11. Well, now he's brought the 3 and the 30 along for the ride. The 0G Porsche 718 Cayman and the Christopher Tate car. So Gary Sexton runs wide. Tate will look for the pass on the inside, and Sexton will give it to him. Tate, the driver for 3F Racing, who got a bit of a bump from the 3 car. He'll go to the inside, and everybody continues to trudge along here with 40 minutes left, 40 and a half minutes considerably, and we'll be looking at pit stops maybe sooner than later. And look at the gap back to third, Scott. The top 2, Deucer and Miranda, have seemingly run away with this fight, so we might just end up in a situation where strategy comes down to these two, how they're able to outplay each other. And if you're Mario Miranda, what are you thinking behind the helmet, behind the wheel?
I'm thinking about what I like to call the undercut. If you watch F1, they talk about that all the time with pit strategy. They talk about the undercut. And what that means is you're trying to pit before the guy in front of you if you're within a 2 to 3 second range, so that you can have fresher tires than that guy in front of you, run a few laps before he pits, and therefore when he pits, you will be in front of him because you ran laps on fresher tires quicker than he did. So if I were Miranda, I would be thinking about the undercut here for sure, but I'm also thinking about the long game. You know, I believe probably we're going to have 2 pit stops in this race. That's just a guess, I'm going to say. But say we're going to see 1, I'm thinking about the undercut if I'm Miranda for sure, to get in front of Corey Deucer.
You're going to have to play that game with Deucer and sort of predicting when he's going to come down pit road. But for now, 15 laps in at around 39 and a half minutes remaining. Miranda nor Deucer are thinking about pit road. They're just thinking about racing each other, potentially saving their rubber. Although it appears Miranda had somewhat of a poor half lap recently. Going to push him further back, and will have to make his route to Deucer just a little bit harder. As here's Christopher Tate, we look back at this potential battle inside 20th, and look at the 30s car. Scott, do you notice anything different?
You know, I'm looking at, I see a bit of hood damage, if that's what you're looking at. Don't know where he got that, as Gary Sexton is trying to make the pass on him there, but he's got some hood damage. That's what I'm seeing. That's true, but look at the back of the car. He has no wing on that GT4. Oh,
he has
Lord.
the wing mounts on the back end, but the wing itself is actually gone. While Sexton and Rabilis, if you look at them for comparison's sake, they do have the full wing mounted on the brackets there. So the 30 car Tate running here in 20th competitively with these two. He doesn't even have a rear wing for aero.
Well, he's definitely running hard then, because I don't know how you lose that unless you flip your car over. So unless somebody ran up over the back of him, which I don't know how that's possible. That's very good spot. I couldn't even see that one. I wonder now how that's affecting his rear end. You know, we normally when we have stock cars, you have a rear spoiler which is attached to the car, which air will climb over the car, hit that rear spoiler, and give your car some downforce. Here in these GTs, it's pretty similar. It's a bit of a lifted wing, as we'll call it, as it's formally named. but I'm wondering how that's affecting his rear end. Is he having to go through these corners a bit softer, a bit slower than some of the other guys because he doesn't have the rear downforce? So very interesting to see how he's handling that change to his vehicle.
Well, you know what? Without that wing, he does go. Oh, Gary Sexton, a big dive, and a turn one and a slam into the tire barriers. Well, I'm not sure what happened there. Sexton now coming over the radio, but he hit the brakes a little too late. The car did not come to a stop.
Man, I've got to think maybe he got his attention drawn on something. Maybe he was looking at Christopher Tate's rear wing as well. But he clearly, I don't think anything went wrong with the car, but clearly misjudged that braking point. Luckily for Christopher Tate, he only got a minor hit there. I don't think there's any damage to his wheel or bodywork, but major overstep and misjudgment from Gary Sexton there. I was wondering if we were going to see something like that, and I didn't expect something so vigorous as he ran into the wall.
And Sexton ran on the braking zone about a marker early than Tate did. He hops on the brakes at the 500 sign on the right side
as we
of
see
the
Christopher
racetrack.
Tate overshoot turn 9 as he's reversing. Interesting.
Looks like he's in trouble as well. Bit of damage there to the right rear. Here's another look at it. Well, you get no rear ring, but you do get a better view of the incident here. Sexton way hard on the brakes. He brakes at the 400 meter, so about maybe a couple of car lengths past that 500 marker, and just goes right into the 30. It luckily doesn't take him out of the race, but for Sexton, that will most likely be race over. He has pinned it behind the wall. The 3 cars run tonight at Long Beach is over with that mistake entering turn 1. How about the battle between the Speed Factor cars still going on for 4th? Fisher and Cabry leading this group of about 4 or 5 cars.
Absolutely here as we see, Chase Cabry just getting in the back of Michael Fisher saying, hey, I'm here. I'd like to go past you, please. As they are close and battling hard as we look at the two of them running down into turn 1. I wonder if we'll see Chase try to outbrake Michael here, but these two they're hard racers. We saw Chase finish 3rd last week, an excellent finish he needed in the points, moved him into the top 10 of our playoff situation. So he had an excellent run last week, as well as Michael Fisher. But they're both also looking for great finishes today. So they probably talked about that as a team coming in today as they're running 4th and 5th, saying, hey, if they're probably on similar strategies, hey, if we're near each other, we're going to race it out, but we need to be thinking about the overall. We need to be thinking about, hey, points. So they're going to battle it out here, but I definitely think they're going to give each other a little bit more space than other drivers would do, because they both need good points finishes to secure them into these playoffs.
That's definitely in mind for Chase Cabry, because he has struggled quite a bit over this season. His best finish was 3rd, and that was last week at Bristol. It took him about 6 races to get his consistency rolling. He had a 22nd place finish at Indianapolis to kick off the year. Then it was a 6th place finish at Daytona. Looked a little better, but then 23rd at Michigan, then 11th at the Charlotte Oval with the Gen 4 car. So safe to say it hasn't been the best season. It's been a little shaky for Cabry, and especially considering when you compare the first season he entered, season 6, made it all the way to the championship 4 at Homestead at Miami. He came out of the gate swinging. It only took him a couple of races to find his groove and get a race win. This time around, it's been a little harder to come by success in that fashion. And Cabry here, I'm sure that Scott, I agree with you on that. He's going to be looking for track position and a good points finish. He wants to keep himself afloat in the top 10. So both of these drivers are going to be nose to tail, 4th and 5th. The exit of turns 4 and 5. Looks like we've got one of our first takers. That's Colin Fern in the 96.
We'll see him. We'll see what he's getting here. Let's see if he's getting 4 tires, 2 tires. How much fuel is he getting? They're allowed 100% fuel in this race, but again, we talk about that strategy. The less fuel you have, the lighter your car is, which means the faster you are. So we're imagining we're going to see who knows how much percentage of fuel as he gets a 13.8 second pit stop. I believe that's 4 tires here with these hydraulic jacks that the GT4s have as he's running down to the end of pit road, as we see Fern being our first taker.
28.5 seconds in the box for Colin Fern, another driver in. Looks like Monin Rahman in the 44, the 10 of DJ Cummings. So our first batch of pit stops here, about 32 minutes left in this race at about lap 20 So we've got a couple of drivers now considering that they're going to have to come down pit road, whether it be for a bit of fuel to get to the end of the race or a bit of tires as well. You look at the 96 of Fern directly in front of lead lap competition. This has allowed the 89 Scott of Mario Miranda to come back into the picture. He's got a big run going down to the corner. That's going to be turn 6 down West Shoreline Drive. He doesn't have it now, but he's setting it up.
Hey, he's gonna look for the setup. Probably not here in turn 7, but he's gonna look for it probably in turn 8. That's a good place to make a pass. You don't really want to look into turn 7 side by side like that, as we talked about those barriers earlier. But one thing we didn't think about or talk about was lap traffic and how that will have an effect on our leaders here. As we saw him come out of the pits, and affecting our leaders here is Mario Miranda still charging hard onto Corey Deucer. So we talked about how strategy might affect it. We didn't even think about how lap cars might affect it and get in front of them, as we see Corey Deucer still holding the lead. We saw DJ Cummings come in earlier for a 4-tire pit stop. So Deucer retains the lead.
And with the overwhelming amount of lap traffic that everybody saw at Bristol last week, you'd expect that this time around at Long Beach, you wouldn't find it as much. But with Fern's call to pit road, it is going to stall up these top 2, and it might allow Jordan Black to close in just a bit. He is about 6 seconds off of the lead, too, so it's not necessarily going to be a miracle to get Jordan Black to the top spot. But if the 96 continues to hold these two up, it'll make it more of a race for sure, especially when you're thinking about strategy. Miranda's going to stay on the rear bumper of this number 04. Deucer has led a bunch of laps tonight after starting on pole. The 04 machine going to skip through turns 6 and 7 over the hill on the crest, then back on this right-hander, turn 8 to East Seaside Way. Tough corner there when you're looking at that tire barrier gracing you on the outside of the racetrack if you get a little bit too wide. But the 89, not a run he can make for turn 9. His hard-braking right-hander. They will stay behind this 96. Now, if you're talking about an undercut here for Miranda, Scott, how early do you reckon that's going to come? Is it going to be about 2 or so laps early, maybe a lap or so, or is it going to be a play-by-feel as they all stack up in turn 11?
Say if Miranda is going for that undercut as he goes into the pits here, Deucer knows that. Deucer sees in his rear mirror, hey, Miranda's coming. I think Deucer will come the absolute next lap. So Miranda is going to have to make this next lap a stinger if he wants to get right in front of him. But again, they were close, within half a second. So he just has to find half a second on this next lap to take the lead from Deucer. But I think Deucer will come in your next lap as he saw Miranda dive in.
So Miranda's in. Now there are 2 drivers behind him. You look at the 32 of Michael Fisher, Joey Padgett in the 83 for Team Joyride. Going to join as well. They were just on the outskirts of the top 5, but they're going to come in for their stop. We'll eye in on how long Miranda's trip to pit lane is going to be. It's counting at about 20 seconds, still going now for Miranda. So way longer pit stops here with these GT4s. Keep that into account as Deucer rolls into turns 6, 7, and 8. Now is when the 89 hops on the gas pedal. He'll hit the pit limiter. He'll wait for his exit out of the lane. 26.4 seconds for the 89 of Miranda. There he is, back at the top of second gear, out to turn 1, and he'll wait for the race leader to make his call. Deucer up by about 5.5 seconds on the second place Jordan Black in the 14. Miranda has dropped back to 13th as a result of the entry to pit lane. Interestingly enough, though, Scott, we didn't see that many drivers come in, but now here comes the race leader, Corey Deucer, in for the first time tonight.
Just like I thought, he saw Miranda and he was thinking, okay, I've got to go the next lap. So now Miranda's here. He's probably getting this information relayed to him, and he knows I've got to make this lap count, as we'll see Deucer drive into the pits here, probably going for as well a 4-tire stop, and we'll see how that plays out, as I believe Jordan Black assumed the lead.
And this should be the only pit stop of the race as they're running it. We are 23 laps in to what is theoretically a 43-lap race with the 28 minutes we have remaining here in this Mach 10 Digital Challenge from Long Beach Circuit. Jordan Black takes over the race lead over Adam Cabot, and one car around, hard into the wall. We're going to officially calculate who that is that went for the spin, but that was a big one there just behind Jordan Black in the 14, and that was Steve Alfont. We can actually confirm in the 54 that went right off of turn number 4 and went hard into the wall.
Oh, wow. What an interesting crash. That's all I can say. As we'll see him go into 2 and 3 here. He's running through right on the throttle. Going into 4, he'll hit the brakes over the car. He shoots it a little wide. Oh, he just gets loose. He shoots it a little deep into 4 there. Tries to get on the throttle as fast as he can. Roll the corner. Gets a little loose and hits the wall.
That is the 3rd time, Scott, we have seen a car get loose and almost about or hit the wall out of turn 4. Ford Martin was the first, then Cole Cabry in the 51. Now our recent victim, the 54 of Steve Alfont. Not sure if that's going to take him out of the race, but he has brought it to pit road, and that is a bruised number 54 machine. Here's the race leader, Jordan Black, onto pit road. Adam Cabot in the 17 to follow. Presley Sora now running the highest he has been all race long after starting in 9th. He's going to wait out an extra lap. Josh Slate will be behind him. He will join the fray, and it's up to Bailey Turner. And then you look at Mario Miranda back in 6th, who has been able to actually beat Corey Deucer on strategy by a decent margin. So, Scott, you really had this nail on the head here. Miranda being able to overcut by about a lap or so, and it's paying off.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. That's what I thought. And we'll see if he can hold that. You know, we know that Miranda started out with the lead. At the beginning of the race, he got into the lead. But we saw Deucer pass him. So obviously at some point, that point in the race, Deucer was faster. So we'll see if Deucer can catch him here. I would not count him out by any means whatsoever, but the undercut worked for Miranda, and that's probably exactly what he was looking for. One thing I was thinking about as we saw Steve Alfont spin in turn 4, we talked about how 2 and 3 would be probably the most dangerous corner. Well, turns out it's turn number 4. As we saw him spin in that corner, I saw as he hit the wall with the rear end, he lost his rear wing. It makes me think maybe something like that is how we saw Christopher Tate lose his rear wing. As we see Presley Sora running up on some lap traffic as well, getting held up by that as Presley Sora is our race leader at the moment.
Alex Monteferrante, the driver right in front for speed factor. And so we should expect Sora to come in to pit road either this lap or the next. As Josh Slate runs right behind him. 98 will turn to the right. There it is. Quick entry into pit road. Hop on the brakes to pit road speed limit. Hit the limiter, and you're good to go. So the 98
Slate will follow him in.
Slate is going to be in behind. You're right. Bailey Turner in the Celsius machine. We'll keep an eye on him, whether he ends up hitting the lane, but he's also veering a little bit to the right. He hits the brakes indeed. He enters pit road. So that will officially gives us our full cycle of drivers. And what's most interesting about the strategy, too, alongside Mario Miranda, it looks like Jordan Black has been able to also beat Corey Deucer out on the cycle. So Deucer, despite pitting right in the middle of Miranda and Jordan Black, he's going to lose on both ends, dropping to 3rd.
You know, that makes me think that maybe Deucer had a slip-up somewhere on the track with the tires being cold, because we obviously can understand how Miranda got in front of him, but for Jordan Black to have gotten in front of him being, 3, 4, 5 seconds back earlier from those top 2 when Miranda and Deucer were leading, it makes me think he had to have had a mistake to lose that much time. So something really to think about. Maybe he had a mistake there.
Well, our producer Eddie Smith is giving us some good facts about what might have told the tale for car number 04 as he flirts right with that outside wall coming out of turn 6. It's a dangerous corner to hit the wall in, and then even more so turn 8, I believe, right about here to the straightaway to turn 9. Deucer had a 36.1 second stop. Black and Miranda 26.4, 26.3. So Deucer spent a little more time either putting tires or putting extra fuel in his race car to at least assure that he's going to make it to the end of the race, but in turn has cost him the track position, and he is about, I'd say, 2 or so seconds, 2.5 seconds off of Jordan Black for 2nd place. Even worse, though, Scott, is that it's about 8.7 seconds and counting from Jordan Black to your race leader, Mario Miranda, now getting into turns 2 and 3 at Aquarium Way. We'll get some lap traffic in front. Christopher Tate, Mark Rabilis, and Matt Stallneck, but a huge undercut. It's going to pay dividends for Miranda, and he will have a pretty comfortable lead that he'll be able to deal with for a little while without really factoring too much the rear view mirror.
Well, we saw earlier how Deucer and Miranda were so far out from Jordan Black and those following, and since Deucer had that 10-second extra long pit stop than Mirinda. That lost all of his time there, so it hung Mirinda out here with a large 8-second lead, as we see Deucer, Jordan Black is 8 seconds behind, Deucer is 11 seconds behind, Cabot 16, and we see Will Rogers and Joey Padgett rounding out the top 6 there, 23 seconds behind. So Mirinda, he just has to run clean laps here. That's what I'm going to think, unless he makes a mistake. He's looking pretty darn good right now.
The thing is, if he's able to hold serve out in front, if he's able to maintain or at least stagnate the gap back to Jordan Black, he just has to run these laps and it's over. Again, we talked about it at the top of the show, Scott. Many of our road course races feature a caution midway through the race. That elevates the parity, creates a bit of chaos, and definitely alters the strategy. But because we just have a 1-hour race start to finish without any gimmicks with a caution in the middle, you're looking at raw strategy going to the end of the race. And if Mirinda is able to beat these other drivers on that pit road strategy, be able to hold out in front, there's nothing that's really going to affect him unless, like you said, it is a mistake or it is maybe unforced errors or circumstance out of his control. But for now, it seems like the 89 has this in the bag if he can hold on for the next 21.5 minutes. Nice battle here for 8th, 9th, and 10th. These are 3 speed factor Porsches. Michael Fisher, Cole Cabry, and Chase Cabry. Oftentimes, Scott, we see these 3 out on the racetrack together and working with each other on the same team. So pretty cool to see all 3 of them hooked up together, as Cole Cabry will make this pass on Fisher. Chase Cabry will tuck in behind, and the 3-car Porsche train, like I said, looking for some maximum points, and this will help Cole as well.
It looks like Fisher there moved out of the way for Cole Cabry. They're talking to each other, and Fisher knows, hey, Cole is faster than me. I'm going to let him by so that he can hopefully pull Fisher and Chase Cabry along with him to maximize those points like we were talking about. Wouldn't want Fisher to hold him up. Got to maximize those points as they're quote-unquote battling, but in more of a 3-car train of the choo-choo, let's get some points.
And all in a draft, too. It always helps when you have some cars around you in the draft, specifically on the front straightaway. And Ryan Vargas isn't that far up the road either. Car who started 7th is currently in 7th. The California native for critical path security on his Porsche 718 came in. There's a great look at his very dark but still nice sim rig. And they will catch the 26 in enough time. They do have enough of a group to basically jump this number 26 as he goes through turns 2, 3, and now 4 through this gorgeous palm tree filled aquarium section with the dolphin fountain right in the smack dab middle of it. And Vargas has had such a consistent race tonight, nothing to write home about, but much like the speed factor trio behind him, Vargas is looking for some decent points. And also in the storyline too, Scott, we have to talk about playoff seeding, because many times in the Monday Night Racing season, we describe the playoffs, we talk about the implications of it, what it would mean for the end of the regular season and that push towards the title. We often talk about points racing just to get through the cut line, and while that is certainly important this time around, you're also looking at the seeding. Ryan Vargas is 8th going into this race in standings. If the playoffs were to start now, he would face the 9th place driver in standings, that being Chase Cabry, who's about 3 spots behind him.
Normally we are talking about, hey, let's get the points to make the playoffs, but you couldn't be more right. It's not just about making the points to get the playoffs. If your car number 16, where Ford Martin currently sits, you'd have to face the number 1 seed of Adam Cabot. And personally, I wouldn't want to go face-to-face with Adam Cabot. So, you know, we need those points to make it, but absolutely, you're looking at your seeding. That's one of the things I love about Monday Night Racing. It's not your typical playoff format setup. It's not, hey, win and you're in, points your way in, and then we're going to race it out from there. It's, hey, you're getting matched up with a guy that is, you know, directly across from you, and the better you do, the quote-unquote easier guy you're going to face. So if you're the best, you're going to face not the best.
Car round in front.
I
these
see
two
that
right here, Joey Padgett in the 83, entrance of turn 6.
And he was having such a good day, too. Ugh, that is frustrating. We talk about those mistakes. You can't make them at this point. You know, we've got 17 minutes to go in this race. You can't be making mistakes like that. That is going to put Joey Padgett far back in this field. Very frustrating, probably frustrated with himself. Only puts him back, we talk about that spread. It puts him back to 10th, which is not as terrible as I thought it would be. But that makes sense because this field is so spread out. So he's just going to have to refocus, reset. He's still got Michael Fisher, Chase Cabry, and Corey Deucer right in front of him. So he's just going to have to refocus and start attacking again. But again, we go back to that playoff format. That's another thing I love about Monday Night Racing. It's different, it's fun, it's cool, as we saw Joey Padgett spin out there.
You can never really expect things here in this series. It's always the unexpected, whether it's car and track combos like we see tonight and next week with Pro 4s at Wild West, and whether it's this brand new bracket style format. And as we look at Adam Cabot, it was tossing right to the point that I was about to make. When we talked to him last week after winning at Bristol Motor Speedway for the second time in Season 7, he told us that he's not worried about the playoffs. He's at the top of the standings, but he doesn't care if he's the leader going into the final regular season race Gen 4s at Atlanta in early December. He doesn't care about all the pageantry, doesn't care about all the pomp, doesn't care about all of that. When it comes down to a bracket style, the biggest thing he cares about is that he's in the top 16 regardless. And as you talked about, Scott, where drivers are constantly thinking about where their seed is going to be placed and which driver they're going to have to face when the playoffs begin, there's a different philosophy at hand. Those guys at the top of the standings, Cabot included, probably aren't worried about who they have to face in 16th place. Maybe everybody near the middle, though, are much more worried about the drivers they have to face just because talent level and the combos you have ahead. So while Adam Cabot certainly isn't thinking about that as well, some drivers behind him may be considering that heavily.
Definitely. Where Adam Cabot sits, he definitely doesn't have to think about it, which is luckily, even though he has that frame of mind of, hey, no matter what, I believe in myself as a driver, I'm going to get it done, having that confidence in himself. Right now, he's sitting in third in this race, and if it were to finish as it is, which I presume most likely will, he's going to have yet again another good points day, most likely hold the lead over James Bickford, who currently sits in 14th. So Cabot will hold that lead, so he definitely doesn't have to think about that right now, for sure.
We're going to want to talk about this driver right here, Corey Deucer, because Eddie Smith just told us from the production booth that we had an incident involving the 04. While he wasn't directly the cause of it, he was in the aftermath, and this is around turns 9, 10, and 11. It'll start with Monin Rahman and the 41 of Matt Stallneck, both of them who get into it. So watch here from Deucer's perspective. He's running behind, and then he'll end up getting to turns 9, 10, and 11, where the 41 went around after hitting Mark Rabilis. Then he came back down the track, hit Monin Rahman in the 44, and then as he hit the 44, coming up was the 04 of Corey Deucer. He gets into both of them. He goes around for a spin, and all of a sudden, Scott Shive, that has pushed Deucer back to 7th. How much of a hit is that going to be for him?
It's a big hit. He was running in 4th position. Luckily, he didn't fall any farther than he did. I was just looking at, when I was talking a minute ago, I was looking at why he had fallen to 7th, and now we know. But that's an unfortunate hit. Corey Deucer was our leader through the first half of this race. I was thinking earlier that maybe his car wasn't liking the setup as much, but now that we know he got involved in an incident, and that's just the unfortunate thing about circuits like this. When you get involved in something that's not your fault, it still happens, and that's so frustrating as a driver. When you get wrecked like that, it's so frustrating. You're like, man, why did this happen? But you have to say, man, that happened. What can I do now? You have to change your mindset and say, hey, this is where we are. I know where we were earlier, but what can we do now? So you just have to reset, refocus, and say, hey, I'm here now. How can I maximize where I'm at now?
That's a great point, and it's to the product of the fine margins you have here at Long Beach. We talked again earlier in the show about the lack of runoff. You have a wall to either side. I remember you asked just before we went live, what are the track limit rules for this one? And then Cameron Arbordon, our social media manager, said it's the wall. So it's basically it's just a hit to the wall if you make a mistake. And for Deucer, I mean, sure, he didn't make any mistakes on that run. It was just 2 drivers that got loose in front of him and ended up in troubles of their own. But just because the margins are so small and they're so finite, and you don't really have a lot of space here at Long Beach, and unfortunately got the 04 involved. And now Deucer is trying his best to gain the positions that he can, is resetting his mindset, and into the inside of Ryan Vargas. He goes for position number 6. Let's look at a replay here. Jordan Black, who was running in second place, car number 14, overshot turn 1 about 2 or so laps ago, gave up second place to the 17 of Adam Cabot. We'll see if we can get it dialed up in just a little bit. There it is. So car number 14 entering turn 1, looks like cooking on the brakes. He doesn't hit the tire barrier. He does escape. But it's got a big mistake for Black, pushes him to 3rd.
For sure, he was running close behind Mario Miranda, not too close, but again, we see exactly what Gary Sexton did earlier. Luckily, Jordan Black didn't slam into the wall. He's going to be able to continue, but an unfortunate error. You know, it's easy to make. You know, you look at these cars and you're like, hey, you know, I could probably drive like that, but, you know, you're going 140 miles per hour into this turn where you have to slow down to under 40. It is not easy to judge that braking zone, especially after your tires have been worn out after this stint of, you know, 10, 9 laps on this track. So, which is abrasive concrete asphalt so it's not easy to judge that braking zone. Definitely unfortunate, but again, Jordan Black will reset here and say, all right, here we go. Let's see what we can do.
That's the longest straightaway on the track, Shoreline Drive to turn 1. It's very hard to get that braking marker correct, especially as the tires wear. You're going to have to continuously alter your entry into that corner because it's a really tough left-hander going into the aquarium section. Turns 2, 3, and then turn 4 here. Now you're watching with Chase Cabry trying to catch up to Ryan Vargas and Michael Fisher. You're looking on board right behind them. So exactly, these drivers will be dealing with those challenges as it all progresses. But it looks like for the most part, everybody keeps it on all P's and Q's. Nice racing here. The 39 and the 26 going at it for 7th, and Cabry looking to get into his line. He started 8th tonight. This is going to be the highest running he's had since he was running in the top 4 or 5 earlier on in this race. No big run on the 26 going down to East Seaside Way. He'll make the entry to turn 9, and he's got it.
There we go. Beautiful pass there by Cabry. Cabry's been fast, as we saw Michael Fisher let him by earlier, and he's been chasing down Vargas, finally being able to make the pass as Vargas will try to squeeze in there, but can't quite do it. Cabry will hold the 7th position. We just crossed over into under 10 minutes to go in this race, as we see Miranda has a 20-second gap back to the 2nd place car of Adam Cabot. So not only did we talk about Mario Miranda having to hold that lead, he's increased it by over 10 seconds. Now 20 seconds back to the 2nd place car. So he's not just riding around, he's still out there driving hard. Oh, someone just went around. I believe that was Michael Fisher.
Looks like Ryan Vargas.
It was Vargas. That's who it was.
Actually crashed in the aquarium section. First incident we see there, and he did get hit by Michael Fisher, so you were right. One of the 2 cars involved in the incident. Vargas now comes over the radio, and we'll look at the replay. Our first bit of trouble at one of the narrowest parts of the circuit. Look at the onboard here from the 32. And it's Fisher. One of those places where you just all stack up, and a big dive by Fisher goes nowhere but into the quarter panel of the 26.
Fisher just misjudges that braking zone there. Vargas ran just a little bit wider, and that left his right rear panel just right open for a hit from Fisher. That's just, again, unfortunate for Vargas as he drops from where he was 8th to 11th, right outside the top 10. Fisher is probably apologizing for that one. Just misjudged it as they're still talking over the radio, but very unfortunate for Vargas, who had just gotten passed by Chase Cabry for the 7th position.
Yeah, Vargas is not happy about that, and you see him parking right at that barrier entry. And it looks like he will be taken out of contention for the top 10. He does have the opportunity to catch up to Colin Fern in the closing laps of this race, but he has 8.5 minutes to do so. Not that much time when you factor in just how many laps you're running here around Long Beach and how quickly things can settle out. Here's Adam Cabot riding in the 17 car into 2nd. He is one of our biggest movers tonight, from 16th on the grid to 2nd place currently. This is a monumental finish for the 17 if he can hold on to it after winning last week, and it would further cement his points lead advantage over James Bickford, who currently runs in 15th. So this is a really nice night for the Glen Garner, New Jersey native. The Magic Man still making it work, although he does have Jordan Black not too far behind, Scott. I don't think the 17 can relax here. If you're Jordan Black here, you're definitely coming up quickly. And if you're Cabot, how much defense do you have to play here?
Cabot cannot relax, for sure. I've been looking at this battle going on for a while now. Black has been about 2 seconds back for most of the time, as he's now really closed in they're about half a second apart. So Cabot really has to keep up his defense here to keep that second position, as Black has made a late race charge on Cabot. You know, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about James Bickford, and I'm so surprised. Not that he's doing terrible, but you know, I really expected us to see him near the front today. So you know, Long Beach must not be to his liking, because I expected him to be a little bit higher in our running, as he's just trying to get the points he can get.
And one of those drivers that we usually see do well at the road courses, but it seems like tonight's race at Long Beach hasn't played fair to the 29. Just trying to get his reps in here at Long Beach over this hour-long race. And he is still holding on to a 15th spot. He has a really clean Charlotte Phoenix Porsche 718 Cayman. So not to say it's a race completely thrown away, but if it comes down to competing for the actual points lead, well, the gap is only going to extend based on the full difference between where Adam Cabot is on track relative to the 29. So there's a nice look at the bottom right of your screen, James Bickford camera, as he dives into turn 1, a little hot on the brakes and misses the curbing. He's trying to catch up to Bailey Turner, but that gap sits at around 11.6 seconds. It is not looking the best if the 29 wants to find some positioning out on track. But
you know, and
right behind him, Monteferrante's not too far either.
And we talk about that points gap, Kenneth. We talk about it as he's running in, I believe, 12th position now. He's made up 3 spots in the past 2 laps, which is extremely impressive. He's charging for the top 10. We talk about that points gap, and we only have 2 more races after this. We talked about the Pro 4 trucks at Wild West and then the Gen 4s at Atlanta. Next week is also a race quite out of the box. Another road course style on the dirt, I believe. And that's, again, another wild card. We talk about how Bickford is good at the road courses, but, you know, personally, I don't know how he is on dirt. So, again, you have to maximize your day as he's charging here, trying to get these other positions as he's back in 14th. I believe that might have been a timing sheet error on my end, but you're just trying to maximize your day. So I believe you're correct. It's not a loss at all, but it's definitely going to promote Adam Cabot farther into the points lead.
Although for Bickford, he does have that wild card race at Wild West next week on Monday night, but he is going to be locked into the playoffs if he just continues to run. So
no
for
doubt,
Bickford,
no doubt.
There's probably a longer picture game to this, right, where he's thinking, you know, I'm going to make the playoffs anyway. I'm going to get seated against a 15th place car. I don't have that much to worry about. Maybe tonight isn't my night. Maybe I'm not running at the front with these guys for the win, but at least I've survived. At least I've been able to get out of the rubble. And, you know, I can just work to Wild West and Atlanta Motor Speedway a little carefree, knowing that I am going to make the postseason. I am going to make a rush for the playoffs. And then when Homestead Miami comes up, that's when the journey really starts.
That's a great point. As I'm looking at our sheet here, Ryan Vargas has fallen to 14th now. I believe that my sheet is now correct. I'm not sure if he had another issue. No, my sheet's wrong again. It's 11th. So he's holding there 11th, trying to get back into that top 10. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do it, as he's 10 seconds back from Colin Fern. I've been watching Jordan Black here right behind Adam Cabot. He's still held about a 1 second deficit to Cabot. So we've got just under 3 minutes to go here. So Cabot is still on hard defense, but it's looking good for him to finish in second position. We haven't talked about Miranda in a while, and there's really not a need to, as he's now 18 seconds ahead of Cabot, just coasting along, cruising hopefully to a near victory, as he's finished second, third. He's finished close in these past few races he's been in. I believe he finished third at Watkins Glen, second at Charlotte, I believe. So he's been hungry for this win, and he's well deserving of it. He's been close, so he's just trying to round out these last 1 or 2 laps.
I think you just read my mind there. I was about to turn the point over to Miranda and his finishes as of late. He only has 2 finishes worse than 25th. He had a 25th place finish at Indianapolis to start the season, and then last week at Bristol had connection issues that took him out he finished in 27th after starting 4th. No doubt it was a strong race from the 89, but those connection issues took him out of what could have been a solid run. But then you look at Daytona Oval, he finished 3rd out of all that. 2nd place at Watkins Glen to James Bickford. 2nd place at Charlotte to James Bickford. So the Miranda machine has been pretty much as consistent as you can count it, barring any issues. As
Jordan Black going for Adam
dive on
Cabot
the
here.
inside of turn 6. The 17 is going to fight him for it, coming out of turn 7 to turn 8. And the 14 will give him the bumper. He'll send the block, the 17 to the outside. Crossover, looking for turn 9, but no match for Black. He's got P2.
Wow, that was a beautiful pass by Black there. That was amazing. He held it. I was really worried that Cabot was going to give him the bumper, but Cabot raced extremely clean there, gave it all he had, but Jordan Black was clearly faster and now takes back 2nd position. That was an absolutely beautiful pass there as Cabot tries to give it one last thing, but can't quite do it. But back to Miranda, you know, he's had an impressive season, and as we wind down the playoffs here, we're really going to start to think about those championship contenders. Of course, we're going to have our playoff format in our bracket standpoint, but it's coming close to that time to say, hey, who are our championship favorites? And for me, Miranda, it has to be one of them for sure. Again, a beautiful pass by Jordan Black there.
He plays a role in such a stout rookie class. Miranda does. When you look at guys like Michael Fisher, when you look at Cole Cabry, Corey Deucer, a lot of those speed factor cars are in it, sure, but Miranda is in that conversation of rookie drivers that have taken this series by storm. We'll touch on him a little bit later. He is roughly 2 laps away from his first career Monday Night Racing Pro Series win. Remember that fight between Jordan Black and Adam Cabot, where they have added a 3rd car to the list. Tertiary machine, Cole Cabry in the 51 has seemingly come out of nowhere, and as Adam Cabot's tires continue to wear, Cabry might have a shot at the podium before it's all said and done.
After this pass from Jordan Black, I've been looking at Cabot, and he's been diving some of these entries, getting a little loose, overshooting it a little bit, so I believe he's on the edge of his tires of what he's got. He's been on I believe this is an 18-lap stint for him around that area. So he's about near the end of his tire range, looking to see if Cole can do anything in these last 2 laps to try to take a wonderful podium position. Again, he finished in the 2nd position last week. Great points day for him. He's looking set for another great points day here again.
And as you look up front, there's the 89 of Mario Miranda, who will come out of turn 5 on West Shoreline Drive. He'll take the turn up to South Pine Avenue, turn 6, 7, and 8, before making the right-hander to East Seaside Way, and then through the last trio of corners to get his first career Monday Night Racing win. And it's been a flawless execution for the 89 of Miranda, and we questioned the undercut strategy over Corey Deucer, and he took advantage of a slower pit stop by the pole sitter tonight, was able to hold out in front, and by 19.1 seconds, Miranda will have a comfortable run to the checkered flag. It's a Long Beach Sunday drive for the 89. It felt like yesterday when he got his first win in the Summer Series at Auto Club Speedway, but this time, finally, Mario Miranda, the Tulsa, Oklahoma native, will come away with his first Monday Night Racing Pro Series win in the Mach 10 Digital Challenge.
Well-deserved. Well-deserved. Beautiful execution of a race. We started out with Corey Deucer leading the race. Mario Miranda held behind. He said, hey, I'm going to run here. He took the undercut like we talked about. And like you said, he just capitalized on other drivers' mistakes and drove a flawless race. What a win for Mario Miranda.
Everybody else running to the finish line. Jordan Black is 2nd, Adam Cabot 3rd, Cole Cabry and Corey Deucer will bring out the rest of the top 5. As the rest of the field looks to finish, they come out of turn 11 to the front straightaway on Shoreline Drive, and Barney the Flagman waiting to bring this Mach 10 Digital Challenge to an end. But Mario Miranda becomes the 5th different winner in this season. And what a race put up by the Oklahoma driver. Miranda will come around for one more lap before he ensues the celebration, Scott. And for Mario, we questioned just how long it would take for the rookie to get to victory lane. It felt like he knocked on the door loudly and soundly with a second place finish at Watkins Glen, a second place finish again at the Charlotte Oval with the Gen 4 cars. Tonight, no worry about being second fiddle. He's the first man on the block. Mario Miranda, the winner tonight from Long Beach.
No worry about him getting in. We just knew he was going to win. We were wondering when it was. I didn't think it was going to be at Long Beach. We saw him strong at a lot of our ovals, but we see him strong as we see him giving us the burnout for our Mach 10 digital winning moment. Beautiful. We knew he was going to win. We saw him strong at Watkins Glen, but, we talk about the toughness of Long Beach, but Mario Miranda rose to the challenge.
He did indeed. Mario Miranda, the winner of tonight's Mach 10 Digital Challenge from the virtual Long Beach circuit. He will bring it to pit road. He'll continue his celebrations, but until then, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we will have post-race coverage and everything from Southern California. You won't miss a thing for coverage of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Mach 10 Digital here on Podium Esports.
Mach 10. Let's give Mach 10.
You're clear for takeoff.
Welcome back to Long Beach Circuit, where Mario Miranda just picked up his first Monday Night Racing Pro Series win. And welcome back to our coverage, our post-race coverage now on Podium Esports. Alongside Scott Shive, I am Kenneth Bueno. Eddie Smith, our producer this evening, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. And what a phenomenal race it was from the jump to the very end with the checkered flag waving. Mario Miranda, the winner for the first time in his MNR career. He becomes the fifth different winner of Season 7. Jordan Black will come home in second as we'll wave through the unofficial results of tonight's Mach 10 Digital Challenge. Adam Cabot, despite surging to second after starting 16th in the race, he drops a spot to Jordan Black in the waning laps of the race, but the Glen Gardner, New Jersey native nonetheless comes away with a podium finish to hold on to the points lead. Cole Cabrey in the 51 gave it a shot in turn 11 on the final lap, but it just was not enough, and he finishes in fourth. Corey Dusso, the pole sitter, looked like he had this race partially in control. Then the strategy kicked in. He dropped back to as far as about 7th on the racetrack. He ends up 5th at the checkered flag. Will Rogers, we didn't talk about him that much throughout this race, but you got to give him credit for coming home in position number 6. Then 7th behind him is Chase Cabry in the 39, Michael Fisher to 8th. Joey Padgett, despite his early spin in the race, comes home in 9th place, and Colin Fern in the number 96 rounds out the top 10.
After he got passed by Chase Cabry, we saw Vargas get hit by Fisher and sent back to P11. Then we see in 12th position Joshua Slate, 13th Presley Sora, 14th the number 5 of Bailey Turner, 15th our two-time winner James Bickford, 16th Monte Ferrante, and then a lap down we see Christopher Tate, our person who lost his rear wing, in 18th DJ Cummings. In 19th we have Matt Stallnecht, and rounding out our top 20 Mark Rebellis.
Behind them in 21st, a lap down, is Ford Martin in the 07, Connor Berry. He'll be looking forward to the combo next up with the Pro 4 trucks at Wild West, but for now, he comes home in 22nd position. Monin Raman is 23rd, 24th, goes to the 54 of Steve Alfont, 22 laps down. And then come the pair of drivers that suffered a brunt of issues tonight. Brandon Houff in the 9, 25th Gary Sexton after overshooting turn 1 and going hard into the barriers. He is 26th. Nick Olson for Grit Esports is 27th. Jordan Buster in 28th. Patrick Gallagher, road ringer in his first start, unfortunately disconnects early with a 29th place finish. And Raja Karuth crashed early in the race, disconnected. He brings up the final spot of our 30-car grid. So in victory lane at Long Beach for the first time is Mario Miranda, driver of the number 89, who joins us now. And Mario, I'm sure that it felt like just a little bit of time since that Auto Club win in the Summer Series, and you came into your first Pro Series campaign with full force, 2 second-place finishes, a third-place finish, and 2 races that surely didn't go your way. But how long overdue is a win like this, and how do you feel about it after finally breaking through?
It feels amazing. Like I'm so glad I'm finally in victory lane. Like you said, it's a lot of second places, a lot of thirds, and then like internet issues, and it feels amazing to be here because I was told that the Summer Series doesn't count as a win. So I came into this series or this season as a rookie, hoping to get a Pro Series win to officially seal the name in the record book. So it feels amazing to be in victory lane. It feels amazing to do it in this way. Had amazing battles throughout the whole race, and it's really rewarding coming home in first.
I was about to mention that the fact that you really didn't have to deal with the drama, the gimmicks, and no unforced errors, no circumstances out of your control. It was just a raw race to the finish off of strategy. What was the undercut on Corey Deucer in mind the whole time, or were you thinking a different alternate strategy, or maybe a couple of other things as you went through the race?
I was originally planning on to go till it was empty, but I Colin Fern came out pit road right in front of us, and he wasn't letting us by. He was definitely slower, but he was just sitting in front of us, not ignoring the blue flag. So he was holding up both me and uh, Corey. So I decided to pit, hoping that he would stay stuck behind Colin, run slower lap times, and then my out lap would be quicker than his. And it worked out, and I took a little less fuel than I planned on to. The car saved a lot more fuel than I thought it would. So I was able to cut the pits time down a little bit, and I came out in the lead by, I think, 8 seconds and tried to maintain it.
It was 18 seconds at the checkered flag. So if you had 8, this just absolutely rocketed from there. Not to say you haven't made a statement, though, in your rookie season, because you definitely have. But tonight has to be that, in a sense, in a big way, to get your first win as we close in to the end of the regular season. So what does this say about your performance that we should look forward to for the rest of the season? And, what statement does that make to the rest of the competition for a Mario Miranda on the horizon in the playoffs?
I guess just hope there's not another road course on the schedule. I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a while, but yeah, I'm hungrier than ever. I haven't won a iRacing championship in a while. Always came up short. I know that some people watch Sunoco, they would know. So, I'm really looking forward to get back on top. 2024 is going to be a crazy year, or hopefully a successful year in both real life and virtual. So, really looking up, and if my internet stays alive, hopefully more to come, because the last 20 laps I had to turn off my camera and Discord and everything because my quality was going through the bottomless pit that it was, and I was low key freaking out at the end of the race, but luckily hold it out for me.
It all worked out near the end. You get your first career Monday Night Racing win. And I gotta say that I definitely noticed the jersey you're wearing right now. Go Birds, I guess. Much like Colin Fern, he said that a couple of weeks ago, actually. Just go Birds. They're tied with the Chiefs right now. Pretty good game on Monday Night Football. But Mario, before we let you go, to go watch some of that MNF action after MNR, who do you gotta thank? And what do you gotta say after this big win to close it all off?
I just gotta thank Twisted Tech, the boys at Twisted Tech. Team Watson Racing, Racer Apparel, Zero G. Shout out to Gary for all the things he does for me, and you guys at Podium. Um, it feels great. Looking forward to the next one. I'm just too stoked right now. I'm excited.
We'll let you go celebrate, Mario. Congratulations. We send our warmest congratulations indeed on your first career win in the series. Surely more to come as you push for the playoffs this year. Congratulations once again. We'll see you at Wild West next week, and happy Thanksgiving. Hope you spend it safely and well with your family.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving.
So that's Mario Miranda, driver of the number 89 machine, gets his first career win, and surely it was long overdue after knocking on the door for several races on end. But from a driver in his first rookie campaign to a driver in his first race in totality, Jordan Black, who comes home in second, joined with Scott Shive.
Jordan, what a race. This is your first race at MNR, and what a stunner. You came home to finish second. What do you have to say about that race?
It was a lot of fun. I was pretty surprised when I had that much pace in practice and qualifying, but I think track position really did me well. Was able to start third and kind of not have to worry about the mess from fifth to sixth on back, and from there it was just about kind of survival. I didn't really have as much pace as Mario, at least not consistently. I couldn't do it safely without jeopardizing maybe hitting the wall too hard and having some wheel damage or something. So I just decided to do, my race and run my pace, and had that small mistake into one kind of lapse of concentration, through an hour-long race. But overall, it was a bunch of fun. I had to thank Adam for racing me clean, Cole for racing me clean. I had a good experience.
Me and Kenneth talked a lot about during this race about mistakes like that. What was the mindset after that mistake? It pushed you back to third behind Adam Cabot. How do you reset as a driver when something like that happens?
It was pretty difficult because I knew Cole had a bunch of pace. Obviously he was behind me in the early stages, and I kind of let him go down the front stretch just because, like I said, I wasn't trying to get into trouble early, and just so happened like I let him by, and a couple corners later he spun out himself. So I saw him do it, and obviously he had a bunch of pace, so he was able to kind of climb back to Adam, and obviously where I ended up after I made my mistake. So just get back in the rhythm. I felt like in these cars, it was really important to have the front turn under the brake pressure. So in that regard, just making sure I'm hitting my apexes and getting off straight. And I felt like I had a little more pace than Adam anyways. So I was just going to kind of, run solid laps, see if Cole caught me at all, see if I started to reel in Adam. And, I think we saw today, like getting there, because you're quicker than them is one thing, but passing them, especially here, is a completely different task. So, I think heads up driving by him and myself as well, because in that situation, going for second with that little time left in the race, it's very easy to make a mistake or push too hard. So, like I said, a bunch of fun.
Well, that is amazing to hear, Jordan. In your first ever race in MNR, you come home second. An amazing feat with a man of your talents. We hope to see you back in the future. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank tonight?
Joyride, Joey sucks. Reed Wilson for putting all that together. As you can see today, Joey does suck. I think he spun out. He actually ran into Will, spun out, qualified
I did
12th.
see that.
Yeah, practiced like a second off the pace. So Joey is proving that he sucks after his strong rookie campaign, but no, we'll just see how next week goes. I'm having fun. I'm not really doing it for points. I missed the first 6-7 rounds, whatever it was. So we'll be aggressive and try and find some good strategies that maybe, pop out a surprise win or just kind of abuse it on pace. We'll see where we end up.
Well, you say Joey may suck, but we know that Jordan Black does not. Jordan, thank you for being with us, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that's
That was
Joey.
Jordan Black. Go ahead, Kenneth.
All right, Jordan Black into second place. Apologies there, Scott. But it looks like Joey's just catching strays all season long. Joey Sucks Shop went into full play. Team Joyride has been embracing it all season. Jordan Black does as well, but he comes away with second here at Long Beach. So let's get in the third place driver. That is Glen Gardner, New Jersey's Adam Cabot. And Adam, I'm sure that after what was a chaotic Bristol race, you came away with that win. Tonight surely felt much more relaxing. Third place at the end. Walk us through how you did it.
I'm not sure relaxing is the right word, but I definitely hear you on that one. It was kind of weird. I practiced a little bit the other day, ran a handful of laps, and kind of plateaued at like 1:25.5s, and I'm like, damn, that seems like a pretty good lap time. Like I'm probably pretty competitive. I'm like, without SVG showing up and some of those other really fast road course guys, I'm like, I might have a shot to win. And then I joined practice and saw that I was a second and a half off the pace, and I'm like, where are these guys finding that speed? Like the car didn't feel difficult to drive. Like it's really bogged down, has traction control and ABS, stuff that like I'm not used to on the stock car side of things. And I'm like, where are they finding the speed? And then I spectate their laps, and I'm like, I still don't know where they're finding the speeds. So qualified 16th, practiced around 16th, and I feel like I was probably 16th on speed throughout most of the race, but just didn't really make any mistakes. And it seemed like a lot of people wrecked around me. And it also, I think people must have taken tires or something during the stop. I was planning on taking tires, but then I saw that there was like no fall off in lap time. I mean, I was getting quicker as the run went on. So I didn't know how long taking tires would take on a pit stop in this car. So I just decided to uncheck that box and auto fuel. And I think I entered the pits in like 8th and came out like 4th or 5th. And I was going to be thrilled with that. I'm like, how the hell am I going to come out here with a top 5? And then all of a sudden, a couple more guys spin out. There's a track blocker. And then Jordan spins out going into 1, and I'm sitting there in 2nd. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then I looked and saw how far ahead Mario was, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that shows that I'm still 16th on speed. But yeah, he just was lights out fast tonight, and then had a fun battle with Jordan at the end, and what was it, Cabri as well. Yeah, trying to give me a little bump and run there. That was fun. I was glad to hold him off and get 3rd. I was also glad to just survive that last little stretch there, because the second I try pushing on a road course is usually when I mess up, and it's hard not to get sucked into those battles with guys. I mean, they were both, Corey and Jordan were both way faster than me, so I was kind of punched above my weight just trying to hang with them in the draft. And yeah, I'm very happy to come out here 3rd. Definitely did not see that coming when we took the green tonight. And I just hope I'm not using up all my luck in the regular season, because right at this point, I've got to be good on points. I'll exchange all that luck the next couple weeks just to have some of that towards the end of the playoffs here. But yeah, awesome run and a lot of fun. And next week should be a lot of fun as well in the off-road trucks. I've never driven one of those before, so I expect Connor Berry to go out there and kick all of our butts, kind of like Mario did tonight. But should be a lot of fun.
And we go from a race where, a lot of cautions surely altered strategy to a race where strategy was wide open. No cautions in a race, 60 minutes, just an hour long. How were you thinking about it heading into the race, especially given your track position?
I love races like this. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it every single week, but well, not given my track position, I thought I was probably going to wreck and die. But somehow, managed to weave my way through the first initial lap chaos. And, I like kind of just getting into my zone and just trying to get into a rhythm and run a clean race and just slowly pick up on speed, since I'm not super familiar with the GT cars. I mean, actually not familiar at all. It was the first time driving them. So just didn't want to make a stupid mistake, because it's so easy to do that on a street circuit like this. And especially once I was in the top 5, I'm like, I'll take any position in the top 5. So yeah, it was definitely nice to not have cautions. Nice to just kind of have a nice long run and see what these GT cars are all about. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Mario kicked our butts, but I'm definitely happy with the P3.
And to move into the next race, you already touched on it a bit, that you've never driven the Pro 4 trucks at Wild West. I don't really think anyone in Monday Night Racing, maybe let alone Connor Berry, has run that combo many times. But you're going into another wild card, another blind race before you have Gen 4s at Atlanta to close out the regular season. Is there a thing about these chaotic last couple of races in the regular season that you see completely changing the playoff run? Maybe not for you, but for everyone else around you?
I mean, it definitely could. I'll have to see how tight the points battle is for 16th. But yeah, luckily for me, I can kind of just go in like I did tonight and just kind of have fun and hope I do well. And if not, no big deal. But yeah, I could see if I was like 14th, 15th, 16th in points, and I'm an oval track guy, and we're going off-road trucks. That would probably stress me out a little bit. But at the same time, like you said, besides from Connor Berry, I don't know if anyone really has much experience in those. So if you're one of those guys, if I'm sitting 16th, 14th, in that range of points or just outside the playoffs, I'm definitely loading up that track and truck and practicing and testing a little bit and trying to get familiar with it, because it could definitely be an opportunity for those guys to leapfrog their way up into the playoffs.
It's going to be big. We're probably going to see a lot of trucks tumbling, to be completely
I've
honest, by the
heard.
time we get to Wild West.
That's what I've heard.
But nonetheless, Adam, great finish here, top 3 at Long Beach. Before we let you go on your celebrations and moving over to the next race, anybody in particular you want to thank for the run?
I'm actually so glad you asked. Yeah, I want to give a shout out to AJ Stravato for helping me out yesterday. He's pretty familiar racing these GT cars and pretty damn good at it. So he was able to give me some pointers on what to expect with strategy and what to do with the tires and stuff. So shout out to him, and then Bailey Turner, of course, too, for practicing with us and always being a good teammate.
Well, Adam, we certainly appreciate the time. Anytime we get to talk to you, it's always a good one. So thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the 3rd place finish. Can't wait to see you rip the Pro 4 trucks at Wild West next week. But until then, congratulations once more, and have a happy and safe Thanksgiving weekend.
Thanks, Gath. You too.
That's Adam Cabot, driver of the 17. Closes out the top 3 as we move into the next race, Scott Shive, and we go dirt road racing at Wild West Motorsports Park. It's not a real track in real life anymore, but it lives on in the sim forever. We bring the Pro 4 trucks there November 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern, same place here on twitch.tv/Podium Esports. If tonight was the wild card, then the next week is going to be a crazy fest. We have never seen a combo like that in previous races in MNR history. Tonight was a new one, but next week will be much newer in that sense.
We are making strides here in Season 7, breaking record after record. It's going to be crazy. We haven't had a dirt race yet this season, so it's just going to be wild. Adam Cabot just talked about it. He's never driven that truck or on the dirt there at Wild West, as I assume, that might be the same for a good amount of drivers in the field. So again, it's going to be another week of drivers practicing, saying, hey, all right, let me figure out how I can be the best here. But especially for during the race, it's going to be crazy.
2 thoughts going into Pro 4 trucks at Wild West. Number 1, might be a Connor Berry show. He has the most experience in a truck like that, at a track like that. He is a 2-time off-road pro world champion. So, certainly Berry has a lot of skill sets, and other drivers may have to turn the page and try to write some notes, see exactly what they can do. And also the battle for 16th. As we get to the last 2 races of this regular season, we're going to give you the larger perspective of that run for 16th, who is going to be entering the playoffs, who's going to get bumped out, how these 2 events will alter the perspective of everything, and again, who's going to be that driver to go in for that playoff bracket challenge later on this season. But until then, that will do it for us here at Long Beach. Mario Miranda, the Oklahoma driver, gets his first career Monday Night Racing Pro Series win in a hectic but fun 1-hour race here in Southern California. So for Ford Martin and everyone at Monday Night Racing, for Brandon Davis and Michael Hall in Race Control, for Ryan Bauer at Podium Esports, for our camera builder Dougie Beard, our overlay builder Michael Hall, for Cameron Aubernon on Podium Esports social media, and for our crew on the broadcast tonight, for our producer Eddie Smith and my colleague in the booth Scott Shive, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Thank you for joining us. Have a happy and safe Thanksgiving week. We'll see you next Monday at Wild West Motorsports Park.